GoldenEye Reloaded isn't a bad shooter. It's just not GoldenEye. For anyone who saw my Rogue Agent video, the way EA got around the whole licensing issue making a GoldenEye remake was they basically bought the name GoldenEye and made a completely unrelated game. But for Reloaded, Activision actually did things right and made a modernized retelling of the GoldenEye story. Taken out of the invisible car exploding pen world of Pierce Brosnan's Bond and thrown into the dark, gritty, testicular torture world of Daniel Craig's Bond, Reloaded is GoldenEye updated for modern audiences and clearly took its influence from modern shooters like Call of Duty. It completely shifted the tone and the gameplay away from the original game and movie. Pierce Brosnan era Bond movies were fun, sometimes ridiculous spy action. They were full of over-the-top action, crazy gadgets, and dry sarcastic wit. They were fun movies for escapism, but Daniel Craig's Bond is more gritty and dark and grounded. They were full of real-world politics and realistic weaponry and villains who didn't have such comic book-worthy goals. But when they modernized the movies, they left out the fun. And now they're just like any other modern day action movie with some spy elements thrown in. And Reloaded tried to take GoldenEye and bring it into the world of Daniel Craig, and it just doesn't work. Now, for anyone who's managed to go this long without seeing the movie or playing the original game, you should go do that because they're really good. But the story is, a shadowy villain named Janus has stolen the GoldenEye satellite, a space-based EMP, and he plans to hack into banks, transfer out the money, and then use the GoldenEye to cover up his tracks, and takes Bond across the world in an attempt to stop him. And the N64 game follows the movie pretty well. And it does a pretty good job of replicating the fun spy action feel. You get dropped into a big open level with some weapons and gadgets, a list of objectives, and you're told to just go figure it out. The game gave you mines and lasers so you can run and gun your way through all the chaos, and it was fun. And Reloaded took that all away. No more gadgets. Now you have a smartphone. You can use it to hack stationary guns and alarms. Though the phone does add a couple of interesting gameplay elements, like having to take pictures for objectives, or there's one level where you have to find your contact and you use your phone's facial recognition to pick out which one they are in a crowd. The only real gear you get in the game is a silencer for your pistol, and I never figured out why you'd want to take the silencer off your pistol anyway, and a pair of night vision goggles that I think I used twice. But in exchange, the game added stealth takedowns, because nothing says fun, fast-paced shooter like crouch walking your way through a room and taking enemies out one at a time. And to accommodate the new slower playstyle, Reloaded took out the big open levels that encourage exploration. Now we have a series of rooms connected by a series of hallways. We still have a list of objectives, but as long as you follow the path, you'll run into all of them. There's no more exploring, no more figuring things out, just follow the destination marker. And all this led to my typical experience playing a stealth action game. Try to stealth, alert the enemies, kill everyone in the room, then walk down a hallway into the next room, and try again. But the game does mix it up a little. They left the tank level in from the original game, although now it just feels like Call of Duty. There's rocket launchers on rooftops, cars for target practice, and helicopters that constantly spawn in, but now you have homing missiles to take care of them. But that's only one level. Everything else is open room, followed by hallway, followed by open room. And this is when the game's most glaring problem becomes obvious. The enemies are stupid. When you enter a room, the enemies are either standing completely still or walking their pre-programmed patrol. But as soon as you alert one, every enemy in the room immediately knows your location and will run straight for you. And I swear, enemies start spawning in out of nowhere. Not that the enemies were hard to deal with, since they're all running directly at you. I would either back out of a door or around a corner and then wait for them to run into my bullets single file. Or there are other areas where stealth is impossible and you get into long, drawn-out firefights where enemies keep crashing in through windows or running in through doors. But the AI doesn't get any better. Their main strategy seems to either be crouch in plain sight or run out of cover for no reason. To overcompensate for being stupid, the enemies are magic, spawning huge numbers out of nowhere. I had to do the cliche wait for a slow elevator bit, so I walked through a completely empty room, call the elevator, then turn around to see a room full of enemies. I felt more like a turret than a secret agent. And to fulfill your murder hobo fantasies, the game provides you with the most standard weaponry ever. Pistols, shotguns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, no lasers, no mines, no gadgets. The weapons all feel fine, mechanically they work, they're just dull. There's nothing new, nothing interesting, nothing different. If you've played one shooter, you've played them all type weapons. But the weapons weren't the only change this game made. The original N64 took all the locations from the movie, but Reloaded is updated with more modern geopolitics. The aircraft carrier that was in Monte Carlo is now in Dubai. The satellite that was in Cuba is now in Africa. It's got all the same story beats, but it's got the influence of modern day politics that influenced the Daniel Craig movies. It makes the whole thing feel less like spy action and more just like a military shooter. This more modern design ripped GoldenEye of its charm and fun, and nothing says modern design like QuickTime events. The whole thing ends with a QuickTime event, and that is after the most frustrating final level I have ever played. In the final level, you have to make your way across the satellite, dodging lasers, dealing with collapsing walkways, an infinitely spawning horde of enemies, and the whole thing has a time limit. And at the end, you have one of the most obnoxious boss fights I've ever had to deal with. The first one, he's a bullet sponge where he runs around this small room taking pot shots at you while calling in reinforcements and freaking helicopters. And when he's finally soaked up enough bullets, he runs off. And once you catch up to him, it's a choreographed QuickTime event. Yeah, this whole game culminates in a climactic press X to win. Like Rogue Agent, I think the biggest disservice this game has is being compared to the original GoldenEye because they're completely different games. Yeah, they have the same story, but the gameplay and the tone are entirely different. If you're trying to play off the nostalgia, fans of the original game are going to be disappointed this doesn't feel like GoldenEye, and people who never played the original game aren't going to be swayed by the name GoldenEye. Now, that's not to say it's a bad game. I actually liked it. The mechanics work well, the stealth action is fun, it was entertaining enough to keep my attention all the way to the end. But the comparison to the original is always going to drag it down. Change the name, tweak the story, and you have a perfectly serviceable modern day shooter. Not special in any way, but it's not bad. It's fine. But at this point, I think we should just let GoldenEye go. It was an award-winning classic, and any remake will, at best, be as good as the original. And in that case, just go play the original. It still exists. But if anyone does take another stab at making a GoldenEye game, give me back my watch laser.